What if your business wasn't just a machine to generate profits, but actually a masterpiece in the making, a legacy that transcends time? I heard this quote on a YouTube video the other day, and it really sparked something for me that I had been trying to articulate. The quote says that art changes culture, culture changes people, and people change the world. The creator was Nikki Reardon. It is about this renaissance that I'm seeing occurring, a new age of enlightenment, of consciousness in business, in transformation, in how we navigate and create success in the world. And if you're listening to this, you've probably been feeling this, but maybe feeling unsure about what is your role to play in this renaissance. What effect will you have both on culture, but also how will you be able to create a lifestyle, a legacy, an impact that feels truly aligned to you? You see, I came to the understanding of this concept pretty early on. Whenever I graduated college, I got into direct sales because I decided not to go to med school. It's a long story, but I succeeded very quickly in that company by 24 years old. So this is now over a decade ago that I've been an entrepreneur all these years, and I created so much success in a very short amount of time. And it was all of the success that everyone tells you you should want, that you should want to be married, that you should want to have kids, that you need the house and the fancy cars. And I was getting all this recognition and making the money, and still felt like I had not even scratched the surface of my potential and that I wasn't really fully fulfilled. And to be honest, that felt very scary for me because on some level, I didn't hate what I was doing, right? This wasn't fueled by, my gosh, I need to give a big F you to the man. No, I enjoyed the women that I worked with. I loved the products, but it was not stretching me to my full capacity. And I didn't feel deeply connected in my purpose. And so that catalyzed my spiritual journey. And since then, I've done so much evolution, but really come to realize that so much of our approach, this is not just about business. This is really about our paradigm. We have a paradigm that seeks external material things. And this is not me hating on material things. I mean, if you're watching the video of this, you can see I look absolutely fabulous. I don't have any issue with material things, but material without meaning, right? Without having the connection and the deep purpose in it. So now I can see specifically in business, because I have a background in business, and that is a big portion of the work that I do, that what's really needed now in today's business world is a need for depth, getting out of the get rich quick schemes, quick, fast, hit it and quit it energy that we have, that we also need more creativity. Right now we see so much just copy and pasting and trying to keep up with trends. And we also need purpose. We have a crisis of meaning happening on a large scale. And as entrepreneurs, there's a huge opportunity for you to start with yourself, and through the work that you do, ultimately creating spaces and impact and opportunities for others to also come into purpose. So today we're going to dive into why the world is craving this renaissance in business and how you can step into the role of maestro and start crafting your business as a true work of art. So let's talk a bit about the current state of affairs, the current state of business that is being impacted by the energetics of the collective. Collectively, we can see over the last 4 years specifically, we can see so many of our systems really falling apart. And there's a group of people who are very much involved in activism, and that's giving them purpose to go against these systems. But also, there are some of us who are here to build, to create new systems, new paradigms, new ways of being, and new ways of doing things. We've had for so many years such an overemphasis on metrics, on profits, on numbers, right? And also productivity. So much of our culture has been, unfortunately, centered around creating people who are basically robots, who don't have space for their emotions, who are able to set aside all of their humanity and just go for the goal. And we have really pedestalized that way of thinking. We've pedestalized hustling until your fingers bleed, but then it not really meaning anything other than money in the bank. Again, this is not to criticize having money, because we're going to be talking about how money is a part of this. But we want money with meaning, right? We want to be living now. We want to experience what it means to be human now, not sacrificing everything that matters so that someday, one day, we might be able to experience what matters, right? It's really a flipping of priority. I also have been pretty well known for a lot of my work talking about this void that a lot of leaders are experiencing, a lot of high achievers are experiencing. And this void that's happening is happening because so many leaders have tied their identity to success metrics that actually aren't aligned to who you truly are, that you've bought into the status quo and that it actually isn't a match for who you are. And so this void experience that so many people are having is this opportunity for you to reconnect with your true self, to reconnect with your creativity, your passion, meaning, purpose, and also connection, depth, intimacy, all of these things that for so many years, I'm saying so many because how far back do we want to go? But all of these things are becoming very prominent. These things matter. So what is this renaissance in business that's occurring? Well, if we think about history and we think about what the Renaissance meant in history, there was a new form of creativity that came through. But I would say the difference between this Renaissance and the historical Renaissance is that the historical Renaissance was really centered around moving away from mythology and moving towards logic. And we put an overemphasis on logic. And now what we are in the midst of is a rebirth of creativity, a rebirth of meaning, a rebirth of purpose, a rebirth of intuition and innovation. And that also this Renaissance is going to be a rejection of mediocrity and a celebration of your mastery. So that means really starting to hone in on your unique zone of genius and being extremely excellent in that area. And also knowing that you don't have to be all the things, and being able to surrender and let go of the pressure that you put on yourself to be things that you're not. That you don't have to be all the things, and that can be so freeing. It can be true freedom when you really lean into your mastery in this life. So many leaders have just been feeling unfulfilled despite having success and craving depth. And we're going to be talking about in the next season, months, however long, until it's time for things to shift. But we're going to be talking about how you bring that out, how you bring depth and artistry and your authentic self and purpose out into the world. So, the way that we are going to do this, the way that you're going to start to make this shift, reinvention, renaissance, is through business artistry. It is starting to come from the lens that your business is not just a machine that is designed for you to input the numbers, and then poop, it just pops out money, right? That your business is actually a canvas for your creativity, for your purpose, for your legacy. It's starting to understand and wrap your mind around the fact that you are already making an impact, but becoming more aware of, is this the impact that I really desire to make? Is it the impact that is the fullest of my potential? And beginning to become a master at bridging the energetic traits of yourself, your energetic blueprint, bridging those aspects of yourself into tangible, practical offers, services, products, etc. So I'm introducing this concept of being the maestro. Being the maestro in your business is not just about success. It's not just about what people see on the external. It is about orchestrating something that becomes timeless and meaningful, just like a work of art. So, why does this matter now? Why am I talking about this going into the year 2025 and beyond? Well, there's so many cultural and societal shifts that have been driving this need for a renaissance in business. Right now, there's so much tension between leaders and those who work for them. Everyone is having just new ways of thinking about what actually matters in their life and in what they're putting out into the world. We're seeing a massive shift in how people are employed and what they choose to do with their time, which is all amazing. But one of the things that we're seeing is an awakening of conscious leadership. It is leaders understanding that you are not only the creator of your own destiny, but also co-creating in this world, that your work, your impact matters. And more people are seeking that. People, not just who they want to work for. I always feel extremely honored that I have at any given time some of the most amazing people who want to work with me and for me, but also that people who are your potential clients and customers also want meaning, right? And so if you are able to be deeply connected in your passion and your purpose, and also be able to communicate that and invite people into having an opportunity to experience meaning, you're going to go further as well. So the role of the maestro, you taking on that mantle of the maestro, requires a few things. The first is that you embrace visionary leadership. And this sounds good. It sounds good, but sometimes it is harder to pull off than we think. Visionary leadership means that even when you might not have right in front of you all of the evidence that what you're doing is going to be quote unquote successful, that you're able to connect with finding success in the journey, in the creation of your work, of the impact that you're here to make. Being a visionary also means not just holding a vision for yourself. So many of us come from, the manifestation space and self-development, so on and so forth. Not many of us are having the conversations around it's not just becoming so that you can get what you want. It's also becoming so that you can have the impact that you are designed for, right? It's becoming so that you can lead in a way that creates the impact that is in alignment with who you are here to be, right? That's a different thing. That's a different texture. The second aspect of being a maestro and stepping into that role is bridging and balancing strategy, logic, data with intuition, with soul, with purpose, with energetic alignment. It is learning how to bridge those two worlds. If you're listening to this, you're most likely in the camp of, I tend to attract people who are more type A, who lean very heavily into the strategy, into the logic, into the productivity, go, go, go. Love that about you. Keep that. Don't get rid of that. We need that. But also mastering surrender, flow, trust, intuition, insight, connection, etc. All of these aspects that traditionally have been kind of suppressed, these are going to be key to your success in this next season of humanity, right? And last but not least, finding ways to create harmony between profitability and purpose. You know that we have a problem across the world of putting profit first, profit over everything. And I'm sorry, I just don't buy into the idea that the only way for us to become wildly wealthy and the only way for you to live a life of freedom and luxury and abundance, that you have to sacrifice yourself or sacrifice others. I know that actually putting purpose first can be one of the most profitable things that you can ever do. And the mistake that I see happening that is going to be the downfall of so many businesses, especially big business, because it's hard to pivot once you've gotten really off track, is we have bought into the idea that we should choose short-term profitability over long-term success, long-term sustainable success. And part of seeing yourself as the maestro is to think about timelessness, think about longevity, think about how you can see yourself in your work, in your role, and the business's role over generations, right? Over a lifetime. Instead of this, like, did I hit my goal of 10,000 or 100K this month? No, actually starting to see this as a long-term, timeless endeavor that you are going on. So what are some of the practical ways that you can start stepping into your role as maestro? The first thing is to redefine success. Redefine success. Start to question when you go to create your vision board, when you go to set goals, really ask yourself, who is that for? Is that actually what I want? Is that actually true to me? Or am I buying into some idea of who I should be or how I have to be? And I want you to also be thinking about, as it relates to your success, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? What is the impact that you want to make? And I'll be very transparent with you. The impact that I desire to make has nothing to do with being liked, right? It actually has to do with challenging people into their highest levels of evolution. And when I came to that realization, I looked at my goals and I was like, oh, many of these goals actually aren't even for me. These are so that I can be liked or so that somebody can accept me, right? When I really got down to the nitty gritty of it, I was like, oh, this is why I'm in a void. This is why I feel so disconnected from my reality, because I am living a mask's version of reality versus something that is true to me and true to who I am. And that means on a personal level, I am constantly challenging people's notions of whatever box they try to fit me in, right? Many people think like, oh, as a shaman, you can't talk about business, you can't talk about money. Guess what? I'm going to talk about. Or oh, as a spiritual person, you can't enjoy luxury. Or as a Black woman, that I can only work with people of color. Someone literally wrote a diss track about me because of that. So it's important to understand, where are your desires coming from, and are those desires true? Are they real to you? And also taking the judgment off of some of those desires. Like, it's so funny. My son asked me for Christmas, some of the things that I want. And one of the things that I said that I wanted was like good pens. Now, can I afford pens? But like, I genuinely just desire good pens. So whether big or small, taking the judgment off of what your true desires really are. Step 2 is that you want to start to explore how you can infuse more creativity into your leadership. So one way that I really love to do this is to help people to connect with their essence. Your essence is essentially an energetic code that is a portion of, it's kind of like that deeper soul that you are here to express. And when you connect with this energy and you have a mix of these essences, when you do that, understand that you are going to be the most magnetic when you embrace all these different aspects of you. That is where your creativity is going to come from, not from keeping yourself in a box. It's going to come from you embracing the fact that you are multidimensional and actually incorporating that multidimensionality, embracing that and integrating that into your work in all the ways, in not only your marketing, but also in, how you deliver offerings, in who you work with, in how you show up in the world. That's going to become more and more important because we're going to see people leaving jobs a lot and becoming more entrepreneurial. And what that's going to mean is your individuality, like what makes you unique, is going to matter so much more. Also, really being connected intuitively and allowing that to guide you. This doesn't mean that we set aside data, but understand that data is information, but it's also just information from the past. And it doesn't always give us the best insight into what's coming. So it's really being able to bridge both of them and work with these two seemingly opposite things and bring them together. Step 3 is you need to master the art of depth. And so we live in a microwave popcorn, scrolling on TikTok 30 seconds, an 8-second attention span world, okay? Anyone who can master depth can master longevity, patience. You are going to be a rare breed, okay? This is also key to developing deeper relationships and connections. So key to not only feeling connected to the work that you're doing, but also feeling connected to the people that you are working with, right? And so going deep, where are you staying shallow? Where are you staying at the superficial level and maybe want to go deeper? And last but not least, step 4 is really focus on building a purpose-driven legacy. So start to get clear on what are your values and what is your highest purpose? What were you born to be and create and contribute in this world? It doesn't have to be a big, huge thing, okay? But it being meaningful to you is what matters. I reflected on some of my core values and what I'm going to be bringing through in my work in this next iteration of my brand. And first and foremost, I value transformation. I value deep emotional growth. I value having difficult reflection and examining the shadows. And that's just going to be part of my work always. I also value courageous and bold leadership, excellence and accountability. And I believe that excellence is not just like looking a certain way. It is having a certain level of mastery in and embodiment in the work that you do. Connection and collaboration, intuition and spiritual alignment with what you're creating, a purposeful impact and legacy, and integrating the spiritual and practical to be able to create sustainable growth. And then some other just like side notes of what I think is really core to what I stand for and what I'm bringing to this renaissance are concepts like elegance and refinement. So instead of just like adding stuff, removing stuff, simplicity, efficiency, mastery, excellence, creativity, timelessness, and authenticity. So these are all some of the foundations of what I'm contributing to the Renaissance through my work here at the Royal Shaman. So I want you to, as we kind of start to wrap up here, I want you to think about what kind of maestro will you be? How are you going to be orchestrating a business that just sings and it's just littered with purpose and creativity and legacy? I want you to really reflect on your journey so far and start to move in the direction of your renaissance. The time is now. You don't need to wait for someone to give you permission. If you know it in your bones that this is for you, that this conversation is for you, then it's for you. So in our upcoming episodes, we're going to be diving deeper into tools and strategies that you can use to start bringing artistry into your work. But also what I think is important as well is I'm going to be having some really interesting conversations with new guests on the podcast to talk more about this. It's so crucial that you begin to see your inner self as the source of your artistry. It's important that you understand that your level of consciousness, your level of depth and alignment is going to determine the impact that you are making, that your business is a reflection. Every decision and every strategy is reflecting your internal state. Prioritizing your internal state is of the utmost importance, and really beginning to embrace timelessness, not just fleeting success. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure and share with a friend. Stay tuned. I'm launching a brand new mastermind called Masterpiece. I'm playing with are we going to call this the Masterpiece Mastermind? And also the Academy is getting a revamp and will now be known as the Awakened Abundance Academy. And all of this work is going to be centered around business artistry, around mastering the self in order to paint the canvas that is your business. This has been great. I'm excited to be back and be sharing my insights and what I'm seeing in the world. And with that, I'll see you next time.